And what we're trying to do is to make some...
I'm grateful. The noble lord used to tell the House that taking welfare benefits out of scope of legal aid would save £25 million. But we know also that his department is dumping all kinds of costs on other departments in terms of the health consequences, the damage to vulnerable children, of living in circumstances of great poverty. What is now the noble lord's assessment of the net contribution to reducing the deficit made by his policy of removing access to justice for some of the neediest people in our society? Does he still think it's 25 million, or does he think it's less? And does he think that is the crucial difference that's going to avert fiscal disaster?
I don't believe these matters remove access to justice, but what I do know, and I noticed that an organisation called ilegal put out quite a long briefing, but the interesting one was the last page of the briefing, where it said, yes, that Ken Clarke had said these measures would cost 25 million. This briefing says, no, that's wrong, it's 14 million. Lord Bark, in his remarks, said it would only cost 5 million. What I do know is that it would have a cost. And I know that when I'm doing other bits of my responsibilities in the Ministry of Justice, if I'm suddenly told by this House, with no responsibilities in the Ministry of Justice, that I've got to 5, 15 or 25 million, then there are other decisions that are made. And I sit in boards where people lose their jobs, where the management of these changes is extremely difficult. I've never tried to hide this, but I do ask this House to have a sense of responsibility. As I say, this is after a lot of exploration and talks with departments, talks with various boards. We did come up with a concession, which is a narrow concession, but is on top of a whole range of other concessions, which we do believe retains legal aid in a vast swathe of the process of welfare, which we think is in keeping with the promises we made to Parliament. And I do ask this House not to go further in voting on this. I cannot, and I must make it clear to the House, if this is carried and this concession is lost, the Act is still an Act of Parliament, and it will still be implemented in April of next year, but it would be implemented without this concession. I would consider that a rather Pyrrhic victory.